Welcome to the Life Coach Lounge. I'm Angela.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily.
This isn't a podcast for coaches. It's for you, for real people navigating real life. It's lighthearted, it's deep, and it's grounded in faith, friendship, and purpose.
And once a month, you can join us in our virtual Life Coach Lounge on Zoom.
So pull up a seat. The Life Coach Lounge is open.
Welcome back to the Life Coach Lounge, friends. Today we are going to talk about technology again. We had so much to say about technology and the role it plays in our lives that we decided to do 2 episodes. So the one previous to this, if you have not listened to it yet, please go back and listen to that. We talked about just that multifaceted role that technology plays in our lives. We talked about some of the struggles that it might bring for us, and also how it's actually quite helpful at times. And the most important thing, setting boundaries with it, realizing maybe when you need to set a boundary with technology. We also talked about some favorite apps that could enhance our productivity and connection. I'll just say it again. Our favorite app is the Marco Polo app. That is where the 3 of us who live in separate states see each other in real time in our environments. And it is the best way for us to keep connected over the miles. So technology is not all bad, but I believe it's something worth talking about. So before we get started on part 2 of technology, I just want to remind everyone that we have a private Facebook group. And why would you want to join that, you ask? We are connecting with our listeners in real time in our private Facebook group. And the reason we made it a private group is because once a month, we will share a link to a Zoom room where we basically made a virtual lounge where we can hang out with our listeners in real time, 1 hour a month in that Zoom room. And that is where you will have access to that link. So if you're interested in hanging out with us in real time, please join our Facebook group. The link can be found in the show notes. And another reminder, each one of us, Lisa, Angela, and myself, all have one-on-one coaching practices. And if you're interested in additional support beyond our conversations that we have here in the podcast, please reach out. Again, all of our links and ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. So a couple of icebreaker questions before we get into the other topics we didn't get to in the last podcast. What is one piece of old technology that you actually miss? Angela, can you think of one?
Nextel.
Say that again.
Nextel phones, the walkie-talkies. I could be like, breaker, breaker. Are you there? It's like, do y'all remember Nextel? It was basically a walkie-talkie. It was like pre-text message. And I could like walkie-talkie Jim when he was at work, and he could walkie-talkie me, and it would make this little broop sound. And then you knew like, oh, someone was sending you a message or whatever. But you had to respond like right then. It wasn't like a text that you could just read later. But it was so fun to walkie-talkie all day with my husband. So yeah, Nextel phones were super fun. But there's a piece of technology I never want to see again, and that was a pager. I have very bad memories of my husband carrying a pager.
That was always such a confusing little device for me.
Yeah.
I get the idea of it is trying to get somebody's attention on the go before we had cell phones. But you couldn't send really a message. You just basically sent a phone number, which indicated for them to call you. It was kind of an annoying little device.
Oh, well, it gets worse. My husband was a machinist, and he rigged his machines to page him when they would shut down. So we'd be in the middle of date night and the pager would go off. I'm not joking. I cannot tell you how many times this happened. And we would get up and drive to his work so he could get his machine started again. Yeah, the pager needs to go away forever.
So the pager is a piece of old technology you are glad is in the
Peace out.
past.
Yep.
Yes. Peace out, pagers. Lisa, how about you? Is there a piece of old technology that you miss?
Honestly, I kind of miss my boombox.
Yeah,
I
CD
mean,
players.
I'm
Oh,
really dating myself right now, but the scene from Say Anything where John Cusack is holding his boombox above his head. Yeah, I kind of miss the boombox. You know, like when you would make a mixtape. I know. Anyone listening right now who is Kylie's probably listening and she's like, a mixtape, what? But like that, I miss that. Like, I
yeah,
miss the ability to make a tape exactly the way you wanted the tape. I know that with technology today, you can take digital downloaded music and, oh my gosh, probably enhance it with all kinds of things. But there's just something about stopping and starting exactly where you wanted it to be, not even a mention. Like you had to like sit by the radio and wait for the song and then be ready to push the button. But yeah, I kind of miss my boombox.
same.
So I did look up the definition of a mixtape for our younger listeners that may be wondering what are they talking about? We're not talking about masking tape, scotch tape, duct tape. No, not that kind of tape, like a cassette tape before CDs. They didn't skip, which was amazing. The sound quality was terrible, but they didn't skip. So just a quick Google search of what is a mixtape. A mixtape is a collection of songs compiled together, often from various artists, that is not typically professionally produced. It can be a personal compilation made for someone special or an unofficial release by an artist to promote their music. That part I didn't know about. But yes, it was something that you found. You bought a blank cassette tape, sat by the radio waiting for your favorite song to come on or for them to announce that it was going to come on. And normally you missed the first 10 seconds or so because you had to hit record. Oh,
I think the young kids call it a Spotify playlist now. So just that maybe puts it in perspective for the younger crowd.
think of how easy they have it. Like that is just that's so easy. They could look up a song, there it is. And this took effort and energy and diligence.
And there's something nostalgic about the jankiness of it. Like it was so janky and wonderful at the same time.
Very wonderful.
And if you got a mixtape from a boy, it was like, oh, what songs did he put on? And why did he put that song on there? Oh, so
You know
fun.
why.
So, believe it or not, I think I miss good old-fashioned cable TV. The basic channels, not 800,000 channels to go through, maybe 50. And most of those you didn't watch because they were news or sports or weather or whatever. I kind of get overwhelmed by all of the options and all of the platforms. Or you pay for a platform and then you go and search for a series or a show. Oh, no, now you have to pay additional to get this platform within this platform. And I'm like, wow, this is never ending. So I don't know if you call that cable TV or satellite TV or whatever it was. I want less. I want less options. Is it just me?
No, I agree.
No, less is more sometimes.
And then I remind myself I could just turn it off and not watch anything. So that is an option. Okay, can you remember, ladies, the last time you went a whole day without your phone, your cell phone?
Not that long ago, I left the house without my phone and realized, and we were on our way to church, and then we went out to lunch. So it wasn't a whole day, but I would say 6 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I've done that, but a whole day? No.
Yeah. But it was interesting. I wasn't worried about it. Like when I realized it, I kind of panicked, like, oh my gosh, I forgot my phone. And then I was like, huh, this will be interesting. And then I just let it go and it was fine. But how about you?
I can't remember the last time I went a whole day without my phone. But when you were saying how you went to church and you forgot it at home, but I'm guessing Jim had his phone with him.
Correct. Yeah.
So interesting that I think if I can remember correctly, when I have left my phone at home, but I'm with one of my people, I think, oh, well, but they have a phone. So if there's an emergency or if we need something, it's not a problem. So it would be an interesting experience for everybody to leave their cell phones at home and go out for a day or go to town or go run grocery orders or whatever. Although I have my grocery list on my phone, so that could be a problem. Just interesting to notice how dependent we have become.
In the state I live in this year, students have to put their phones into what's the proper terminology for a sleeve that does not allow you to get any kind of signal. So every student has a sleeve and their phone goes in that sleeve before homeroom starts, and then they can take it back out at the end of the day.
As it should be.
They don't even get it. They don't get it at lunch in the hall. It is a no phone zone from homeroom to the end of the day.
I used to text my kids when they were in class all the time. So I don't know if I'm a fan of this.
It would be fascinating to hear what the teachers and the workers at the school, what they have noticed since implementing that new no phone zone rule. And are the kids paying attention more? Are they becoming more creative? How are they using that lunchtime instead of looking at their devices? Are they looking at each other? So that's a great segue, actually, into one of the topics we wanted to talk about with technology that we didn't get a chance to hit on the last time that we recorded. How does technology hinder our creativity? Does it help us be more creative, or do we feel that it hinders our natural, God given, unique talents of creativity? Tell me all your thoughts.
I think both and. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, Jim's been trying to figure something out and he looks it up on YouTube, and next thing you know, he's welding. That's actually a true story. He like welded something that he figured out from a YouTube video. So he would have never been able to do that, without technology. There are some projects that I probably would never tackle without kind of running it through Google or AI first to kind of spark some ideas. That being said, I also think that having that as an option does dampen my own ability to come up with those ideas. So, yeah, I think AI or Google, it's a wonderful assistant, but I don't want it driving the bus.
That's a great way to phrase that. It's a tool, which we again talked about last time. It is a tool, and if used appropriately, can help us to achieve what we're setting out to achieve. I love the fact that you brought up YouTube. Yes, you can learn so many skills and so much information for free by just watching a YouTube video. It makes me wonder, though, what we did before we had YouTube.
Call a welder.
Or, like you were saying, working on a project and needing it to spark some creative ideas. I know for me, what I thought of was I would maybe collaborate with somebody, maybe a group together, get together some people that are also working on the same project, or I know that I could bounce some ideas off of and get ideas flowing that way. Brainstorming, right? So, brainstorming with a human, and maybe now we are brainstorming sometimes with a robot or a computer, gathering ideas that have already been put out there on the internet. So at one point it was somebody's idea. So it's the same thing, but different. What do you think, Lisa?
That's what came up for me initially when you asked that question, was a little bit of isolation because of the what you just said. Like, it's the easy button, so you can do what I do with AI quite often, and I just word vomit into a microphone. And if I were to write it all down, it would look like a bunch of disjointed, fragmented thoughts, sentences, like, and then ask it to kind of piece it all back in like bullet form or an outline or something like that. But I think you're right. You lose the connection with other people, where our generation would do what you just said. We would get together and have a meeting about it. All right, how are we going to tackle this? Who wants to take which piece of it and break it down and then report back? So I feel like that connection piece, it can be a little lonely to just use the technology. I don't have to have a conversation with another person. I mean, and that's just talking about like AI. That's not even talking about the technology of emailing and text messaging and those type of platforms where you really don't have to have a conversation with another person. You really can stay in isolation if you choose to. I mean, if you're going to look at it like a double-edged sword, then I think that that's definitely the sharper edge that could be a hindrance.
Yeah, something else I just thought of too. If I Google something for an idea, I could go on Pinterest. I could just Google ideas. I could go to any AI tool to give me ideas. Sometimes I have found that the sheer number of ideas that it gives me, or even Pinterest, you can just keep scrolling. There is no end. It's a bottomless pit of scrolling ideas and inspiration. That sometimes complicates what I initially set out to do. If I have too many ideas to choose from, sometimes it's better for me just to unplug, get alone with my thoughts, start writing some things out, like actually engaging that part of my brain, that my imagination, my creativity, problem solving skills. So that's another thing. Has the convenience of technology reduced our problem solving skills because we don't really have to be alone with our problem? We can easily open our phone or our computer, Google it, find the answer, which again, double edged sword, great if there's a quick answer and a YouTube tutorial to show you how to do it. But is there also value in being stuck in that problem and only you and your intelligence, your imagination, your creativity to figure it out? I think problem solving skills are, it's a great set of skills. It's a great skill to have. And I don't know what the research is on that.
It would be interesting though, when you were just describing all that and even the YouTube piece of it, I was thinking back to, again, dating myself, thinking back to like my days of being in college. And I would joke that I pretty much lived in the library. That's where I was all the time because there was no internet. There was no looking up and getting a quick answer for things. You were doing the research. And so if you weren't interacting with other people or working on an assignment that was, a joint effort, you were doing it. You were figuring it out. And there probably was not as many options, obviously, but college libraries are pretty vast even today. And so you have lots at your disposal. And also, if you have to go and get the books, you have to look it up, you have to go get it, you have to read through it all, and AI is not giving you the cheat sheet. Your choices are kind of narrowed and limited because you only have so much capacity to do that. It wasn't a vast knowledge of the internet. Which one of you had people knocking on your doors with their encyclopedia?
I was just
Like,
going to say that growing up, we had a set of encyclopedias, and if you were interested in something, you would find it in the encyclopedia. My dad used to read volumes of the encyclopedia just for fun because he was so interested in knowing information. So then that makes a great point. There is a value in that hands-on piece of literature, that book that is there, physically there for you to look at. Because if technology disappeared tomorrow, then what? If we couldn't log in to Google, if the internet crashed, if our phones weren't working, right? Big power outage, what would we rediscover? Books are one thing, right? What else can we think of?
a GPS. Like I can think of a time when in one of the many, whether it was Verizon or AT&T, and they just like it goes down across massive amounts of territory. And my daughter was newly driving and going to visit a friend at another college. And so she left the house to purchase something to put her phone in so that she could see the GPS better and it wasn't something she was holding or distracting. She came back home because while she was in Walmart, I think, she's like, Mom, my phone stopped working. Like, she's looking at me like, did you pay the bill? I'm like, interesting. And so my phone's not actually working either, only to come to find out that it was a nationwide thing. So to try to walk her through, well, what you're going to do now, I'm like, well, I don't even think they make maps like we used to carry in our car. Like we didn't have we didn't have a phone, Sammy. So I just started jotting down like, okay, you're going to take this route and then this is the direction you're heading in. And so it was very interesting for both of us. But yeah, you're right. Like it's convenient when it's convenient, but what are you going to do if you depend on it wholeheartedly? Can you function without it? Can you get from point A to point B without the GPS? Our generation could, I'm
That's what I
sure.
was just thinking. This next generation needs us because if their GPS stops working, we know how to read maps. If you can find one, we know what a map looks like and we know how to read it. So I wonder if that next generation, like map reading skills.
I'm buying my kids an atlas. I just decided.
Yes. Yes. Angela, did anything else come up for you? If technology disappeared tomorrow, what would we rediscover?
The ability to retain information. We don't
Mm,
have to rely on our memory. We don't have to wonder about anything. Anytime you're having a conversation, someone grabs their phone and looks up the answer. If you say, "I wonder if that guy's still alive." Oh, look it up. Yeah, still is. Yeah, you don't have to remember things. You just look it up. You don't remember phone numbers, addresses.
Even if you're like trying to use a recipe and you want to double it or triple it or something, and it's not something as straightforward as 1 cup or
Right.
like if it says 2/3 or one, like if there's fractions involved, that's not a half. I'm immediately like, okay, let me think about this. Okay. Or if it says you want to convert it from ounces to liters or like any type of conversion that used to be rote for us, we just knew it.
Yeah.
or you were supposed to know it. You know how many times we got tested on some things that we got a grade for that now it's obsolete? It's like,
Yeah.
nope, you can just look that up. You don't have to memorize it anymore. It's just at your fingertips.
Multiplication, just math. Like I wonder sometimes, We've all been there. And I know that we're moving in a direction of a cashless society. That might be a whole nother podcast topic. However, I still use cash on occasion, and it baffles people to have to make change,
Yep.
which baffles me. But I get it. Like, if you don't have to know, because I'm a minority giving you a $20 bill on something that's, $16 and change, why would you have to know how much change to give me back?
Very true.
We're definitely dating ourselves here, ladies, but I think this is helpful information. And Angela, you let us know how the atlas is received by all of your children. If they're excited or if they're like, Mom, what is this and why? What's
Are they
going on
looking
here?
for a button to push that gives them a direction?
Where do I plug this
make
in?
it bigger.
Yeah.
You have to include a magnifying glass.
There you
with it.
go.
Be like, this is how you make it bigger.
Yeah. Speaking of, our children, I mean, let's just go there, right? We're already in the lounge today, totally dating ourselves, and that's fine. I happen to love the generation I grew up in, so I'm perfectly fine with it. But speaking of our children, so I remember thinking my children are 6 years apart, and I remember just the difference in those 6 years in the development of toys. Like, I feel like they were called exosaucers, where you would put your child in and they could spin around, and they had little tray where you could put their toys. Okay, so my son's version of that was like a Pinto, and my daughter's version of that 6 years later was like a Lexus, because her version had all these attachments to it and things that you could push and noises it would make and all this stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what are we doing to our children that they're going to look at things and lose their sense of wonder? How do I play with a toy if it doesn't do something for me? Like, if it doesn't make a noise or do a trick, is it really even a toy? So that just popped into my brain while you were talking about giving your kids, who are not kids anymore, an atlas. But I'm thinking back, oh my gosh, I remember thinking this decades ago, just the change in 6 years.
Well, and the truth is, the most fun game for the toddler is taking the toys and throwing them off the tray, or the Cheerios and throwing them off the tray. And so when they're actually attached, what fun is that?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yep.
Oh, I feel like we could do a part 3 on this, but for time's sake,
Keep
how
going.
about let's keep going. Let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Is it a helpful assistant or is it creative interference? So I did look up a definition for AI, which again is artificial intelligence. And the definition I found was the capability of computer systems or algorithms to imitate intelligent human behavior. And I thought this was super interesting. The first known use of this term was in 1947, which I feel like doesn't seem like that far back in history, even though it's way before any of us were born. But still, it's fairly recent technology. And it has just, I feel like, fast forward, like it has been so fast. All of the new technology has been so quick, so fast. We talk about it all the time. Our phones are built in with, it's got built in obsolescence. Just as soon as you think you have the latest and greatest software, we'll turn around and there's another version of it to upgrade to. So, also synonyms of the word artificial would be unnatural, fake, false, simulated, or exaggerated. So don't get me wrong, I am not anti AI, but I do think that there is value in remembering that artificial is not natural, and it can often be fake or false or exaggerated. And so I fear that we are trying to replace humans with this artificial intelligence. And I believe God created us as intelligent creatures, and we have intelligent gifts and creativity to bring to the world. And so AI can be a great tool, but I am very cautious for myself to not let it be the driving force, the thing that I go to. So, Angela, tell us, what was your first reaction to AI technology when it first started to become available and something that everybody was talking about?
I think denial. I was, I knew it was there, never really thought about it until it seemed like it just took over. Like every time I opened my phone to Google something, AI answered. And so it just seemed like, okay, I was really in denial about what was happening in the world. So yeah, for me, that's what it was. I did not realize how quickly it would become a part of my life.
You and me both. I feel the same way. I tried to resist it for a long time, thinking, oh, I don't need that. I'm going to let other people figure that out and use that technology. And side note for our listeners, Angela has referred to, she has said Dr. Chat more than once, I think, on her episodes. So she's referring to Chat GPT, I believe. But Angela, would you like to let the listeners know why you call it Dr. Chat? Because I think it's super cute, but let's just give them a little behind the scenes. Why does Angela call it Dr. Chat?
So I can self diagnose.
And have you found Dr. Chat to be reputable and helpful?
I'm sorry, not sorry to say I might trust Dr. Chat more than a real doctor.
Oh, that's a conversation for another day, isn't it?
Yes, please.
I just think it's super cute that you call it Dr. Chat. So I wanted to let the listeners know if Angela says Dr. Chat, she's talking about AI. Lisa, what was your first reaction to AI? I, for some reason, have a hunch that you are a little more open to it than Angela and myself, but set me straight if that is not correct.
I was a little freaked out by it, honestly. I mean, I thought it was very a little like borderline uncomfortable. I don't know how, like, it took me a while to embrace it. And even now, like with self-driving cars and things like that, that still is something that I'm a little freaked out by that. And it's going to take me a little longer to embrace that. I have no desire to get in my car and put in a destination and read a book while it drives me from point A to point. I'm not there yet. So I don't think I was intimidated. I just think I was just really, if you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you know that I'm very analytical. I just like to, like, I want to know more. And I just kind of stood back for a while and was like, I don't know." And even something as simple as, I think I said this on part one by not saying it too loud, by saying, the dot in the kitchen, that if I say a certain female name, it will answer. Like even that, even introducing that into our house, I don't know about that. I feel like it started to make me have more borderline conspiracy thoughts than I really needed to have. Now, I just said in the beginning of this podcast, I'll use it to do a full on 5 minute or more thought download and then say, okay, help me organize these thoughts a little bit. I haven't embraced it enough to just say, do my work for me. I mean, I know that's possible. People can set up to answer their emails and respond to people, make their schedule, do all, like, I've not embraced it fully like that yet. And I probably could use it in a more smart way. but I'm getting there.
Speaking of work, I know so many people live in fear that AI is going to take their job. And I'm just curious to know, do you believe that that is true, or do you believe AI is creating jobs?
I think it depends on the job. I think it's definitely possible that it will, if it hasn't already, eliminate jobs, especially assembly and things like that, or coding, possibly. I mean, people still have to enter in the data, but do you need as many people to do that? I mean, there's different technology even for doctors these days. It's been decades now. Like, how long ago did the Da Vinci tool come out for surgeons to use to help them in the operating room? So I think someone has to do the work to get that to work. But I do think there's going to be some positions that become obsolete.
And I believe there will be even more created. I believe that that is true. And I believe that there will be more created because of AI, new things that we never have thought of before.
It's an interesting perspective. Where I went with you with that question was how it can be potentially dangerous in replacing certain jobs, such as a therapist or a coach.
Or a
Because,
girlfriend. I've heard stories about kids that like fall in love with AI. Scary.
yeah, very scary, very dangerous. And that human connection is the whole piece behind therapy or coaching or a relationship. You can't have a relationship with artificial intelligence in the same way we were designed to have relationship with actual human beings.
Yeah.
One of my favorite authors, Dr. Kathy Cook, she's so smart. I don't remember where I heard her say this, but she said, when referring to AI technology, whether that's Alexa or Siri or Claude, any of your AI tools, be careful to not assign it a human pronoun. It's still an it. So even Siri, oh, she told me. No, it told me. And that was a great distinction, I thought, to catch myself to not refer to the technology as though it's a person,
That's
to
good.
remind myself it's still a computer. It's only as good as the information that it has been fed or that it is pulling from. That I don't ever want that to replace an actual human being created in the image of God. So that's my fear with it. Talk about conspiracy, Lisa. I could probably go down a whole rabbit hole on that, which I don't want to do. But I think it's good to mention that it could be very dangerous to rely on a computer to do what only really a human was designed to do for you.
Yeah, there's a difference between compassion and flattery. And I think, sometimes we type something into Dr. Chat and it's like, this is the best idea you've ever had, And you're like, why? Thank you. But that's just flattery. There's no compassion behind it. There's nothing real. There's no tough love if that's needed. So, yeah, there is a big difference.
And it's faulty. Like you said, when you listed off a list of synonyms for artificial, because it's not real, it's fake. So when it provides you an answer, I'll use the word concern I have for generations who are coming up where AI is just going to be, it's just a part of their world. Is they'll just take it. It's just all true. It's not all true. Yes, you're so right. It can blow smoke up our, what's better than anything. If you really aren't feeling good about yourself, sure, ask Dr. Chat to pour you a drink because it'll make you feel good in no time. But sometimes you can ask questions and it's not accurate. Like if you are knowledgeable in asking the questions enough to know that the response, like I've had to be like, don't make assumptions. You just totally answered that question with an assumption that I did not provide for you. If you're not intelligent enough to know, you talked about like using it for travel, Emily. Like I've done that multiple times because I'm like, tell me all the things. I want to go from here to here. What's the cheapest? And then I go and I look up the information it gives me. I'm like, nope, nope, actually, no, no. And so then when you push back on it, it's fascinating the answers that it will give to you. So I think for me personally, in this podcast, that is like a highlight. That's a highlight reel right there, Emily. It is an it.
It is. And don't forget, there's no wisdom there. It's information. Information is different than wisdom. Wisdom comes from God ultimately, He imparts it to people. There is no wisdom in technology, there's information. And it's so important to remember that distinction. And they're great tools, but it's a tool. It doesn't replace a human, it doesn't replace real intelligence. Great discussion. What, ladies, is there anything else that you want to say about AI?
No, I'm feeling my age. I think I'm good to call.
Gonna go look at your CD collection and reminisce.
Yeah. My husband probably still has mixtapes in the basement.
We have one boombox that still has a cassette player in it, and my girls are begging me to never get rid of it because we have some Adventures in Odyssey episodes on cassette tape that they just want to keep. They're nostalgic. I'm like, okay, well, as long as it works, I will keep it for you. So sometimes you just have to keep those old technology pieces. Here's some final thoughts for our listeners and maybe some encouragement. Technology is a tool. We get to decide how we want to use it and how we want to think about it. We were created with creativity, discernment, and wisdom. We encourage you to embrace it and protect it and try not to replace it with the easy button or the artificial intelligence that's at your fingertips. And just remember, you have a unique voice, and your unique voice is irreplaceable. We need each person on this planet to find their unique voice and bring their unique perspective, creativity, gifts to the world. Let's not give that over to the robots. Thank you again, ladies, for another discussion. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today in the Life Coach Lounge. Remember to join our private Facebook group. We would love to meet you one-on-one. We would love to see you in our virtual lounge once a month. And again, if you want additional support, please reach out to one of us or just send us a message on one of the socials or comment on one of these episodes. We love hearing from our listeners. And Lisa and Angela, I will be talking to you later, probably more about AI and technology in the Marcos.